Hello, I'm Kabalama and this is episode 18 of Rule the Waves 2 Let's Play Japan. And the year is 1936. We're at war with France, and we've been at war with France for 28 months, so that's just over 2 years. We've captured this colony here, which is Kwangchu-wan. We've invaded Annam, and we're still fighting land battles there. And we're trying to invade Cochinchina, but that invasion doesn't seem to be triggering. So I'm going to try and trigger Tonkin instead. So we're now attempting to invade Tonkin. So we've sunk quite a few of the French fleet. If we have a look at France, sunk ships, we've sunk 1, 2, 3. We've sunk 7 of their battleships, the cruiser Montcalm, a load of light cruisers, two aircraft carriers, and numerous other ships. We've hardly lost any ships ourselves. We've lost a few destroyers, and I think we lost a light cruiser or 2, but that's it. And so let's play the next move. Carrier battle. Accept. They decline battle. We've commissioned 3 submarines. The heavy cruiser Kako has finished working up. That's good because it's a very powerful ship. New model of the flying boat. So, it's faster, more range, and everything's the same. So I'm going to say yes to that. And food is becoming scarce in France, which is very good. So we're winning the submarine war again. And we've got a bit of a better balance. Now I'm going to have a look at some of our cruisers. The Kako and the Agano are 2 recently commissioned cruisers, so I'm going to put them into Southeast Asia where the fighting is, or where the fighting would be if the French were prepared to fight. And I'm going to look at some of these older cruisers. This one that's on the North American East Coast, we're going to move to Northeast Asia, because that's not really particularly useful. And these 2 old ones, I'm going to scrap them for now. I'm going to mothball them for now. We may want to put them into foreign service or something, or do something with them, but for now they're not particularly useful. This one that's in Southeast Asia, that can be put into raider status again. 1 in Mediterranean, 1 in Northern Europe, 1 in South Pacific, 1 in Southeast Asia. I'm going to put this one into the Indian Ocean, because that it just makes more difficulties for France. And this one is in the South Pacific. I'm going to put that into the Caribbean again to make more difficulties for France. So, let's play the next move. Small engagement. Accept. Enemy unable to challenge our forces. Unexpected advances in light forces and torpedo warfare. Better MTBs. Float planescape prototypes, let's see. Our existing ones are 133, so the fastest is this one, the Kyushu XS28. That one's got the longer range, so I think we're going to give it to the one with the longest range. There's only 1 knot slower. It's slightly less tough, it's got less firepower, but it's got longer range, which is important. Medium bomber, faster, heavier bomb load, more range. Yes, going for that. And let's have a look at our aircraft types. And looking at our aircraft types, we've got all 5 of our types of aircraft. We've got one that's either this year or last year, so we don't need to modernise any of our aircraft. We're doing fine as far as that's going. So let's play the next move. I'm a bit worried, incidentally, about Russia, because they seem to be pushing towards a war with us. However, having said that, we do have lots of battleships, and if the Russians did decide on a war, we'd just move all our ships from Southeast Asia to Northeast Asia and then give them a good kicking. So, battle in support of land combat, accept. And the French look like they're going to be fighting this time. That's good news for us. And we've got a battleship. We've got 2 battleships. The Qingtao and the Qinto. And if we look at those, the Qingtao has 8 15-inch guns and a speed of 28 knots, and I think the Qinto is very similar. 8 15-inch guns, speed of 28 knots. So they're both pretty decent ships, And we've also got an aircraft carrier with us, the Kaga. And let's see what the French have got. And because we can't use our... No. And so they had a light cruiser and a destroyer. Let's see where they were. Their movements. One of these stupid pointless battles where nothing really happens. Okay. Now, we can secure even better terms if we crush them completely. We should not let them off cheaply, or these terms sound like a good basis for peace negotiations. I'm going to do the crush them completely option. I still think we can crush them completely. Improved optics quality. Medium bomber. It's a bit faster. It's got shorter range. And it's no better in terms of bomb load, so I'm going to cancel that. Food becoming scarce in France. I think it's time to build a few more submarines. They seem to be sinking our subs one or two at a time. So we can build 3 more submarines. In fact, we can build more than that. Build another 2. And so that's 5 submarines building. Okay, let's play the next move. I notice that these of these light cruisers, 2 are going to finish fairly soon, and then our other 2 ships are also going to finish reasonably soon, so that's good as well. Small engagement, accept. French decline battle. Better 8-inch guns. We've taken Annam, that's good. We're still winning the submarine war. Food shortages in France. Yes, strikes and anti-war demonstrations in France. That's very good. And it's time to... I know that we've got fuel shortage here, but I don't see there's a great deal we can do about that, so I'll just have to accept the fact that we've got fuel shortage. Battleship engagement, invasion battle, accept. French decline battle. Invasion of Tonkin goes ahead. Excellent. And we're still winning the submarine war. And we've got lots of extra money, which is good, but some of that's going to go on to having an invasion of Cochin China. It may be that it's while we're still invading one place, we can't invade somewhere else. Because I noticed that as soon as we invaded Annam, we were able to invade Tonkin. I'm not sure whether that's how it works or not. But anyway, we'll see if that is how it does work. Anti-Japanese rebellion has broken out in Liaotung Peninsula, which is this one here, and I bet the Russians are behind that. Well, it could be the French, I suppose. Convoy defence, accept. French decline battle, as we accepted. Army had better deliver victory. We've taken control of Tonkin. Excellent. Maybe that means we'll invade Cochin China next time. Hardship and food shortages in France. Again, that's very good. And we've got a deficit in money. That's because all the money that's going to the army. I'm gonna this one here. This is Northeast Asia. I'm going to put that in mothballs. This old ship, the Unebi. So that saves us a little bit of money. And these 2 are going to be built soon, which will clear our deficit. Cruiser action, accept. French decline battle. Convoy defence, accept. Attack enemy ships. So, let's see what we've got. So convoy there. The scenario is over. Let's see what they only had 2 destroyers anyway. Let's see where they were. Well, they got fairly close to our ships, but no one spotted anyone. So that's another bit of an anticlimax. Shows how weak the French are if the only forces they could bring to the field or to the sea were 2 destroyers. Notice one of the messages said that Russia was behind the Laotown Peninsula, and we're still trying to get Cochin China. I think we're going to have to deal with Russia at some point. Right, battle in support of land combat, accept. No contact between fleets, no. And they had 2 destroyers again. Waste of time of a battle. The enemy has put out feelers and negotiated peace without border changes or reparations. We should not let them get off lightly. New fighter prototypes. And these both got fast maximum speed. Both got decent range. That one's more manoeuvrable. So I'm going to get the more manoeuvrable one. It's also tougher. Tougher and more manoeuvrable. The French invasion of Tonkin has been defeated. Okay. Rebellion in Laotown Peninsula continues. I'm still trying to get Cochin China, aren't we? Yes. Okay, we need to put something more on trade protection. All these are on trade protection, so let's have a look at our destroyers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's put those all on trade protection. Trade protection. And we'll also increase the size of our docks so we can build bigger ships. We will be able to build bigger ships when this war's over. Carrier battle, accept. They decline. Cruiser action, accept. They decline. The latest army offensive has been reasonably successful. That's good. We should not let them off cheaply. We should press for hard terms. Actually, no. This is us gaining disputed border areas. That's a good basis for peace negotiations. Okay, let's see what we've got. We can certainly want Cochin China and Polynesia. We don't want any of the other things because they're well outside of our radius of operations. So let's get those 2. And that's good. So looking at the map, we now have Cochin China and we have French Polynesia, which was this one here. Well, Japanese Polynesia now. That's miles away from anything, so we can't invade anything from there, nor can we be invaded, so that's a bit of a red herring. I think the next victim has now got to be either Britain, which is here, or America. Well, we're allies with America, so we don't particularly want to attack them, but we might be wanting to attack the British, because we can now gain these possessions here. Let's have a look at Borneo. Borneo doesn't have oil. I think Sarawak has oil. Look at the oil thing. Sumatra. That's what I meant to say. That island's Sumatra, not Sarawak. Okay, so Sumatra has oil, which is there, which unfortunately is neutral, so we can't invade it. But we could certainly get these British possessions. What British possessions we've got? Well, Burma's got oil as well, and Burma is this one up here. So if we captured Singapore, we could then get Burma after that. We could actually maybe even get Burma straight away. Looks like it's within our invasion range already. Though we'd probably have to put the stuff in the Indian Ocean, because I'm not sure whether that counts as being in the Indian Ocean or in Southeast Asia. It's a bit unclear. Anyway, our next country that we might want to attack is the British. Let's have a look at the naval position. We've got 11 battleships, they've got 10. In terms of tonnage, we're bigger than them. They're building 3 and they're probably quite big ones. We've only got 2 battlecruisers and they've got 10. So they've got many more battlecruisers than us. So that's a weakness on our part. They've also got much more in the way of heavy aircraft carriers. They've got 4 to R1. Light aircraft carriers, they've got 6 to R4. Heavy cruisers, they've got more, but ours have got a larger average tonnage. Light cruisers, we've got a bit more than them, and destroyers, we've got a few more. So what I think we would have to do in order to beat the British is build lots of destroyers, smash their fleet in a fleet battle, and then use submarine warfare to wear them down. Let's have a look at what ships they've got and what they're building. So they're building these 3 ships. One of them is a Collingwood class, which is a very big ship. It's got 9 16-inch guns, 28 knots, and 14.5-inch bells. That's similar to our Nagato class. Now, our next class of warships will probably be bigger than the Nagatos, especially since we can build 79,000-ton ships now. So we'll maybe build something that will be able to match those. Looking at their battle cruisers, their newest battle cruiser is the Glorious, 31 knots, got 9 16-inch guns. It's got quite a light bell. We could maybe build some ships that are similar to that are fast, well armed, and not particularly well armoured. They're also building a new one, the Invincible, which is 57,000 tons, which is either going to have a heavier armament, unlikely because he seems to have 16-inch guns on all his main ships. That's probably 9 16-inch guns with similar speed but better armour. So let's get all our ships home, and then we can think about what we're going to build. So let's moving our ships. Let's have a look at our submarines. We don't need to build these. We'll leave these submarines on hold. Note, if you halt construction of submarines, it doesn't cost you anything. I'll illustrate that. That's minus 3,760. Resume that. That's 3,960. So that's the full 200 cost. Whereas if you put surface ships on halt, it does cost something to have them on halt. So it's much better to have submarines on halt because that's free. Now, let's look at our expenditure. Well, firstly, we can reduce this expenditure on intelligence on France. Our research wants to go up to 8 or 9%, and we want to reduce this expenditure on naval aircraft because that's quite high, because it's now peacetime. So, these are all going to be put in reserve. And in fact, I'm going to put all these in reserve as well. And that should save us a bit of money. And see, that's gone down from 2,500 to 2,000. So that's saving us 500 a month, which is enough to build a destroyer. Tonnage on foreign stations, that's a bit iffy, so I need to look into that. And a lot of these ships are now going to be put in mothballs. And so I've now put a ship in foreign service that will allow the tonnage on foreign stations to be okay. Asahiro has finished working up, so has Azumi. And we've now got a new research area of radar and electronics. So let's have a look at research. Float plane scout. And is it any better? It's slower than our existing one and the range is a lot less, so I'm not going to build it. Rebellion in Lautung Peninsula continues. And let's look at research. Well, I'm going to bang that up to 10% because that was a bit low. Radar and electronics wants to be on high because it's important. I'm also going to put AP projectiles on high so that we can hopefully penetrate the enemy's armour. And I think that's it for now. Let's have a look at our naval guns. We've got quality 0 16-inch and quality 1 15-inch. Okay. We need more tonnage on foreign stations. Okay. We'll use this one. Non-flammable materials. New French fighter. So we've got a good surplus in funds. We can look at building a new battleship fairly soon, or maybe a battle cruiser. Sailing regatta and competition, yes. We've got a nice surplus here. Need more tonnage on foreign stations for some reason. We'll put the UNEBI on it. and that's still, we'll put the Tokyo on there as well. Okay, so that's sorted out our foreign station requirements. Let's play the next go. By all means. And let's see what we're building. This Kako will be completed in 6 moves, and that will mean we will have something like 6,800 to build on warships if we want to. So let's see what we can build in the way of battleships. So one thing we could build is we could build a large battleship with 16 15-inch guns. Note that our 15-inch guns are quality 1, whereas our 16-inch guns are only quality 0. And this would have a speed of 28 knots and would be armoured with magazine box protection to roughly the same thickness as our existing Yamato class. So that's one possibility. Another possibility would be is we could do something that's very similar, but we'll bump up the speed to 31 knots and we'll make it a battlecruiser. And this would involve increasing the displacement. That increases the cost to 7,700 a month from 6,800, I think it was. Let's just go back. Yeah, 6,800. So that's quite a bit more expensive, but it's a battle cruiser, which would counter their battle cruisers. We could build lighter battle cruisers. We could probably only afford to build one with either 12 or maybe 8 15-inch guns, or we could reduce the turret size as well. I don't really want to reduce the turret, the caliber to much less than 15. 14 would be acceptable. 13, not really very good. Let's see what we could build if we built in the USA. In terms of caliber, there's no real advantage in building to the USA. Their 16-inch guns are even worse than ours. And we don't want to build in Britain because Britain might be our next enemy. So I think I'm going to build it domestically, and I'm going to build a battle cruiser. So let's have a look. It's going to be local. It's going to be 31 knots, speedy engines, and I'm going to get rid of one of these turrets. And we're just going to build one, and we need to know what we're going to call it. Well, it's kind of a little bit like the historical Yamato. It's actually, that's a bit light in terms of displacement. I'm going to add the extra turret again. Oops. I want the more powerfully turreted ship. That's important to me. I'm going to give it an air capacity of 3 aircraft. Because it's a battle cruiser, aircraft are important. Let's have a look. That thing was annoying me. But that's now gone. So, and we've got 3 funnels. That looks okay. We need to. I'm going to reduce the belt coverage from 20 to 19. That should be fine, really. I think we could probably get away with 18.5, and I'm going to reduce the turret armour to 17.5, the turret top to 5.5, secondaries, well, 4's a bit on the thin side anyway, and let's see how much we have to bump the armour up. Now if we're going to give it, make sure it has 200 of leeway for weight remaining so that we can add extra stuff at a later point, then that means it's going to cost 7,300. If we bump the speed up to 31, that makes it 7,600. That's not vastly more, and I'm very considering doing that in order that it be a knot faster than the British battle cruisers. So that's some extra armament. We've got 15-inch guns, 100 rounds per gun, 24 5-inch secondary armament, no tertiary armament, This armour is all okay. We've got 3 aircraft. I think that's everything. And what should we call it? We're going to call this Yamato. Because it's kind of a similar concept in that it's a single big, very powerful ship that on a one-to-one basis will beat any enemy ship. Right, that's the Yamato. So let's play the next move. And then when we've got the Yamato, the next thing that we're going to do is build destroyers. It's fast-ish, slightly longer range. It's got lower manoeuvrability, so I'm not going to buy it. Fighter aircraft should be fast and have high manoeuvrability. We need that technology, and it seems to be a reasonable price. That's X-ray quality testing. Go to the build screen. And we're going to build the Yamato. We can only build one. That puts us in deficit. We'll still be in deficit when the Kako is built, so I'm going to put reduce research down to 8%. And we'll still be slightly in deficit, but that's life, by all means. I wonder if we can put more ships in reserve, and that's improved our financial situation a little bit. We're at 2,100 in deficit. That cost 2,600. So we've now got okay finances. The French are offering to sell us subdivision and damage control. We've got a little surplus there. New torpedo bomber. It's faster. It's got a longer range. The bomb load is the same. It's more manoeuvrable. And on the subject of aircraft, let's have a look at our aircraft carriers and see what we can put in reserve. In fact, I'm going to put all of these in mothballs. That's in reserve, and this one's in reserve. The Tyson Maru, I'm going to put that in mothballs as well. I'm very much considering just getting rid of that. It's not a particularly useful ship, but we'll keep that for now. It may come in useful. We've crushed the rebels in Tongue Peninsula. We've got decent monthly surplus, and we're building our new ship, the Yamato, which is a 66,000 ton battlecruiser. And that's the end of episode 18. If you like my content, hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. And the next episode will be out in a day or so. I'm generally doing one episode every day for this Rule the Wave series. And I'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now.